Good evening and welcome to Soundcheck from Visual Radio Arts. And tonight's show has seen a great set from Jennifer Crook and the Broken Road. Here are the band all around me. So let's do some introductions. So to my immediate left, it's Jennifer Crook. Yes. You'll have to use your microphone.
Oh, yes, of course.
And to her left, we have...
Joe on electric guitar.
Super. To my right...
Stuart Bruce on bass.
And in the corner, on the naughty step...
As ever. My name is Robert Bryant and I play drums and percussion.
Ta-da! Brilliant.
Great.
So, great set tonight. Really enjoyed it.
Thank
Fantastic.
you. Thanks.
If I think back to the set that you did with us, I think it was either 2017 or 2018, things have changed a lot.
They have. They have changed a lot. Yes.
No harp for a start.
No harp. Yeah, no banjo. No, I wanted to do... The album that's just come out, The Broken Road Back Home, is really the kind of album I've wanted to make for a very long time. And it really came together through working on the songs, working with Stuart, who co-produced the album with me, and we really looked at... I wanted to do it from the point of view, what do the songs want? Not, I've got this instrument or that instrument, so that's what it's going to be. But just from the point of view of the songs. And then we thought, well, we'd love a bit of electric guitar and slides. We got in touch with Joe and Robbie. We both knew very well and knew that he was the best drummer for the job, no questions asked, so that was easy.
Absolutely.
And obviously on the album we have Hammond. Well, it's that kind of sound, that kind of slightly, I guess it's slightly 60s kind of, but also we recorded quite a lot of things live, or certainly we tracked it live, so it's got that vibe as well. But yeah, so really for me, I just kind of, I've always written songs. I've got hundreds of songs that weren't quite finished. I hadn't found the right band, or they were just sitting there not doing anything. And so when I was sort of gathering songs together, which was really, 2020, like a lot of other people.
Yeah, when we were all in our bedrooms waiting for the world to change.
Exactly. And I think certain songs that I'd started or half finished seemed to really resonate at that time. One that we did, Build a Shelter, haven't seen a soul around here for days, that kind of thing. And so it started taking shape from kind of the sort of messages in the songs, and then it built from there.
You did some songs tonight that were from your earlier repertoire.
Yeah.
And I think they translated really well into the new band setting.
Thank you. I'm glad you think that, because I think so too.
Yeah. I think it added something that was sitting underneath the surface but wasn't exposed on those songs before.
Yeah. I think I think Stuart would say a similar thing.
Yeah, I mean, it's because, obviously once the album came together, and I mean, Jen had obviously more songs than that.
Yeah.
And, it was the songs that sat with each other. And then it just felt like there was a common theme running through all of them, which was interesting because some of them were new and some of them were quite old, weren't they? So, I mean, it wasn't like you just wrote a set of songs that you felt would sit together as an album. They started to call out to each other, and then the sound of the band came together very naturally, because Jen had said to me, she wanted to work with an electric band. And, we're just, I mean, Rob and I have played together for years and years and years. And in fact, you played with Jen years ago as well, didn't you?
Yes, yeah.
Yeah.
We've done odds and
Yeah.
sods and things. Yeah.
Yeah, and Joe was kind of, in a way, the newcomer to the band.
Fresh face.
Yeah.
Not so much now, but he was there.
Yeah.
So did you know
Also,
Joe
good hair.
already, or did you seek out someone who could do
We
what
were
Joe's doing?
looking for a guitar player, weren't we?
Yeah.
Yes, I was recommended Joe by 2 different friends, music friends, actually. And they both said, he'd be great. And then gave him a call and just kind of...
Lo and behold.
Really felt
Yeah.
like, yep.
They were right.
Yeah.
Yes,
They were dead right.
absolutely.
But Joe, you're quite busy with other projects. So did the decision to kind of hook up with these guys, was that kind of complicated, or?
Well, it kind of fell at a very good time in a way. It fell during 2020, which
Yeah.
unfortunately was during the pandemic, you know.
Yeah.
But it was at a time where I was kind of, there was like a kind of big reset, I think, of what everybody was doing and kind of figuring out their path forward out of the pandemic, And when I got recommended to Jennifer and Stuart, it was just fantastic. And they came to me and said that they've got like a body of work that they want to record, and so I was very much up for it, And I got sent the demos and stuff, and I immediately, really loved the songs,
Yeah.
and felt very honoured that the sort of time that I came in, they were still they were fully fledged songs, but in terms of the sound and direction on them, they
Yeah.
were still up for,
Yeah.
I was allowed to be a collaborative part of that, as
Yeah.
opposed to going in and being sort of like
Here's your
A,
bit.
B, C, D.
Yeah.
I was allowed to really bring what I can to the table, and it really gave me a chance to kind of experiment as a musician and stuff, to try and cater the guitar really to the music and make it a fabric of the songs,
Yeah.
So rather than it just being a guitar that does the guitar job all the time, also bringing it in to maybe do more textural stuff,
Yeah.
and experimenting with reverbs and delays and
Yeah,
stuff,
yeah.
to try and especially with songs like Strange Red Sun,
Yeah.
which are, as soon as I heard that, there was this really deep, moody, ambient thing that sort of came to mind, and immediately that just worked in the song when we were tracking it, and it was great to also come in and record live with these guys as well. We had a really fun time, and I think there's a lot to be said for recording live,
Yeah.
rather than going through.
There is a thing about that, but I mean, as a producer, it depends, because if you're working with a solo artist, and your kind of initial part of this would be thinking about, Jen as a solo artist. There's always the temptation to sort of mix and match people to different songs, and you often hear albums where, there's a whole bunch of different flavours sitting together. But Jen was incredibly insistent, which is why we're co-producing the record, and because there was a real insistence from Jen that she wanted a very coherent feel to it, But as a producer who's made a lot of different records, I would say that you have to be really confident in the band, the musicians that are around someone, in order to let the process happen in the way that it has happened. But, from the moment we first played together, we knew that we had something special. And so the idea of going, okay, we're not going to write everybody's part. We're not going to demand that this.
Sorry to interrupt, but I just need you to
Oh, is
have
it
that a bit closer.
even closer, right?
Yeah.
We're not going to demand that everybody, do something that we slavishly follow something that we do. And it's been a very organic process in the studio. And being able to
And actually, it's still developing now, isn't
Yeah.
it? I mean, we're doing things just recently that only kind of developed last week.
through playing the
Through
songs
playing-
live,
Yeah.
Playing
and
live.
figuring them out and where they fit in a set, and
Yeah.
it's very important to us as a band, like the live show, in terms of how it's structured. The order of the songs is so key to how the audiences take the music.
Yeah.
Because a couple of songs in the wrong places that they really don't fit in can really alter the vibe.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's very important that we take the audiences through, like, an hour or whatever, through a real journey through
Yeah.
like Jen's songwriting and all the ups and downs that come with that, you know, dynamically and stuff, you know.
Yeah.
There's a couple of things I want to ask you all about individually, but I'm going to start over with Joe because I don't know which song it is, but there was one song in particular where you added sort of like a load of tremolo into the sound, but it didn't. There wasn't a sort of like a shift. It just effortlessly appeared. And I can't remember which the song is, but it was probably about, I don't know, four-ish songs in, something like that.
It could potentially be Aftermath because there's a guitar solo that has a lot of tremolo on it, which kind of does actually sort of come out of nowhere, but because of the sort of arpeggios I'm kind of playing, it's still of the right part. You know, the part was, and that was something that we worked a lot on when we were in the studio, is getting the part right for that solo, because immediately when it came along, it was like, this isn't your standard guitar solo where you go up to the 12th fret and have fun for 2 minutes. You know, it was like try and do something that actually still creates a foundation for the song to just keep moving in, and just adds another sort of slight melodic and dynamic shift, you know.
So for people at home who are thinking about getting the CD, it's kind of stick the headphones on as well, because you're going to get a load more out of it once you start to really listen.
Definitely.
Absolutely, yeah. Get the expensive hi-fi out if you can, because, you know, Stuart will thank you, you know.
No, absolutely. I mean, there's a lot of detail. There's a lot of detail in this record, and there's a lot of subtlety in there as well, and it really does bear, you know, multiple listens, I would say.
So the question I've got to ask you is, I think the track is, and I haven't got the whole of it, Meet Me in the Place, and then I lost track of the rest of the words, but it's that song.
Yeah.
The bass in there sounds, you haven't got fretless here,
No.
but it sounded like a fretless bass.
Yeah.
That's
Well, it's just-
amazing.
There's a lot of sliding about.
Yeah.
Basically. Yeah.
Probably my favourite song of the evening, to be honest.
Great.
Where words don't go.
Yeah,
Yeah.
words
Is that
don't
the one?
go.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
Meet
it's
Me in a
funny
Place Where Words
because
Don't Go, yes.
in fact, I bought a fretless recently specifically for live with this band. We tried it in rehearsal, and we decided that, despite the fact that I've recorded with fretless on one or two tunes, we just prefer the sound of what I'm using. So we just decided, okay, you know, maybe that'll come out later.
Yeah.
But not now. But yeah, I mean, but you know, sliding from, you know, there's a lot of sliding around.
Yeah.
But it sits with the song.
Yeah.
It's like everything that happens on all these songs is everything that we do is there to serve the song.
Yeah.
You know,
Exactly.
because the song is king.
Yeah.
You know, it's absolutely the most important thing that's going on.
Which brings me on to what you're doing, Rob, insofar as there are some songs in there that you've got to have a reasonable amount of discipline to not go too far on the drum side of it, because it would kind of get in the way.
Absolutely.
And I suppose they will all say that's why you're the drummer for this band, I guess.
Rob's the most musical drummer that I know.
Rob is king.
It's unbelievable how he can follow a song. And I think it's because you listen all the time, don't you? You never stop listening.
I am listening, you know, 100% of the time. And that just comes from an improvising background of playing a lot of jazz music and improvised music. And so when we played that little segue between songs, when we did it in rehearsal, we just started doing it, it just flowed, because I'm always in that moment. And if the tempo moves a bit, you know, I'll go with that, you know, whichever way. I'm a band drummer, you know, I do many gigs, as you know, on Click, and loads of albums run on Click, and I'm happy in that environment. But there's nothing quite like playing with real musicians like these guys who just... And I follow Jen, and if Jen feels like she wants to just pull that back a little bit, I'll go with that. And that means that, you know, nothing's metronomic. It's got feel and it's got emotion, and that's what we're trying to get. And as a drummer, that's one of the hardest things to... Because one of these guys gets on a melodic instrument and plays, you know, a minor key, and everyone's like, oh, that's really sad. It's hard to do that on the drums, you know. I mean, I can play a slow rhythm and they probably think, is he a bit upset? And if I play really fast, boom, bam, but I think he's really happy. So it's really hard to emote. So I have to find other ways of doing it through my note choices and what parts of the kit I play and when, and and the volume of it and the dynamic of it. So I love a challenge like this, and it's just such a musical band for me to play, and it's perfect.
And some of the drumming on the album, I have to say, it's just exquisite. You know,
It'll go to his head. You're gonna have to.
No, it won't.
He's never told me that before. He has now. Well, that's brilliant. Thank you. I'm the greatest.
I think I remember thinking after we first started doing some stuff, it was almost like Rob was playing. It was as if he was there when I wrote the song. It was exactly what the song wanted, and that's what I love about it so much. And that thing about where I know you're kind of waiting for me and I'm kind of listening to you. I love, that's great too. It adds a certain nice tension.
It does,
doesn't it?
It really does.
Yeah.
So, in terms of gigs, the season is almost over, isn't it now?
It is, yeah.
And so I guess you're looking to kind of what happens next year. More than anything else.
More than anything else. I mean, where are we now?
October.
October, yeah.
November. Where are we?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Approaching Christmas rapidly.
Oh, yes. Did you actually say that? Not allowed to say that to me until December. Okay. Yeah, we're really looking at what we're going to be doing next year. Obviously, festivals are really like focusing on that at the moment because there's some great festivals, and just for the band to be out and playing in front of more people, and also it's always enjoyable, isn't it?
Yeah.
But we're looking at the chance of going, potentially going over to Germany, maybe.
Yes.
We've had a sort of a couple of questions come from Germany at the moment about what's our availability to play, and
we've got some Canada kind of
Canadian stuff
possibilities
maybe,
as well,
which would be great.
So going abroad to play would be just it's been a while. It would
So
be amazing.
in a sort of a nutshell, next year you want to be out there gigging, promoting this album, and kind of getting out there as much as possible to sort of share the word.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we've got some other things in the pipeline, which is we recorded a live EP. Which we did at Real World Studios. So we're going to release that at some point next year. I haven't decided when yet. And I think also we did a couple of songs tonight which were not from this album. They're other songs of mine.
Yeah.
And we want to do an EP or a recording of those as well. So there's lots there.
You're busy.
Yes.
That's going to be a kind of again, that's going to be a live in the studio one, but this time we're actually we've decided that we're going back to my youth when I used to record onto analog tape rather than going into digital. So we're actually thinking about that.
Yeah.
So that would be an amazing experience.
Oh, and then vinyl album come out on vinyl. That's we're looking
There are just
at
long
that.
lead times for vinyl, aren't there nowadays?
Ages and ages. So that's what we're looking into at the moment, is how far ahead will it be? Hopefully kind of next spring, or ideally in time for Record Store Day would be good.
Yeah.
But
April the something.
end of April, is it? I
Sometime
think
around April.
that rings a bell.
That's the next
But
one, I think.
I really this album, it feels like it should be on vinyl. It's always felt like that to me.
Well, that's kind
It's
of
a very
like
vinyl feeling album in terms of,
Yes.
I think, the concept of it and the sounds. It definitely feels like this should be the kind of album that you put on a record player and you just sit and listen to it for 45 minutes,
Yeah.
and you get totally wrapped up in the world
It's
of
so
it.
warm sounding.
Yeah.
And I'm a big vinyl
That's exactly
And
what Rob does. Sit and
That's all I
listen
do
to
is sit
vinyl.
and play records all day. And this album just lends itself to that. And I think a lot of audiophiles out there would buy it just to listen to it, you know, and then eventually, like the album, of course, but would buy it because they've heard it's just going to be a great sounding record, you know, and I think there's another strength in that. And then they'll fall in love with it, you know, not just, oh, this sounds amazing, but the songs are great too.
Well, I'd like to thank you all again for doing a fantastic set. Really enjoyed it.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
having us.
Have a good.
Great.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Had a great time.
Back, yeah.
And I'd like to thank everybody out there in the real world who have been watching this set tonight. This is Visual Radio Arts and this is Soundcheck, and we will be back with another band in a few weeks' time.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
See ya.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Buy the record.
Thank you.